Now we are going to see inter-process synchronization. So for inter-process synchronization, we are using semaphore, mailbox, and events. All these are used for synchronization and as well as used for communication between two processes or components. First, we are going to see about semaphore. It is acting as an access control to shared resources for basic synchronization. For example, two processes try to access the shared memory. One process is trying to write, another process trying to read from the same memory location. It leads to unexpected result. So semaphore is used to overcome this situation. Another example, if you have only one bus functional model, okay, so two process or two components trying to access the same bus functional model, okay, it's not possible, right? So with the help of semaphore, we can control those and we can share. Once it is done, it is given to another process or component. So this is the syntax to create a semaphore. Semaphore with the key name, okay, semaphore, and semaphore name you can give any name to instantiate the semaphore. And there are some methods associated with the semaphore. New, get, put, and try get. Okay. New is used to create this semaphore with a specific number of keys. Get to obtain one or more key from the bucket or from the semaphore, and put to return the key into the bucket or semaphore, and try to obtain one or more keys without blocking. So try get is a non-blocking one. So these are the prototype methods available by default. By using this method, for example, new, okay, with the help of new, we can create the semaphore and we are passing the key, how many keys we want to use, that number of keys we can create by passing here. By default, the key count is 0. We can increase that by passing the key size, key count. Then put is the method available. So when you call semaphore name dot put without any keys here, so default value is 1. We will put one key that is written back to the semaphore, and get is the method, it's the task available. If you call just a get method, default one key we are getting from the semaphore. Okay. This is blocking in nature. If you use try get, it is a non-blocking in nature. So the default value, default key we can get when you call this one, but it is a non-blocking in nature. It will return 0 if key count, if there is no key and it's trying to get, okay, without blocking, it will return 0. Okay, we are seeing the examples for the semaphores. In this example, a module semaphore example is the module name. Here we are creating a semaphore as sema. Then within this initial block, okay, here this line number 5, using the new method, we are creating the semaphore. We are allocating a semaphore, we are assigning some memory for the semaphore, and with the key 4. 4 keys are created inside the semaphore example. And within the fourth join, we are calling two processes at the same time. Okay. The process displays nothing but here it is. sum of dot get of 4. So 4 keys we are getting, and using $display we are displaying the current simulation time here. Okay, then after 30 time unit, sum of dot put is used to put back the key to the semaphore. Then we are putting. So both are the same task we are calling. Display is the task name that we are calling here. Okay. So at the same time. So actually, key we created 4 keys. Okay. So at the same time, any one of these process will able to execute, because here inside the display we are getting 4 keys, and then after 30 time minutes only we are putting that key. Then only the remaining process 1 or process 2 will happen. So here current simulation time 0, one process, let's assume this one is happening. Then after 30 it is put back the 4 keys. Then this process executes. Again it get the 4 keys, and this displaying current simulation time. Okay, this as 30, because after 30 only the first process put the 4 keys. Okay, another example. In this example, we have 4 process. All are this display task. Here we are passing different keys. Okay. Here we are passing the key we are receiving here, and for get we are assigning that key. So here for this process we are replacing 2 keys, and for this 3 keys, 2 keys, and this is 1 key. Okay, all are happens at the same time. So at each time, actually we created 4 keys. Okay. So these two processes can able to run at the same time, or these two processes can able to run at the same time. So these two, we are replacing 2 keys, and here we are replacing 2 keys. So 4 keys we are replacing. So at 0 time with 2 keys, and current simulation time 0 time. So these two are happening at 0 time, and using this $display is displaying this one. Then after 30, it return back using put, return back the 2 keys and 2 keys. So 4 keys are there. So this process using 3 keys, and this is 1. So these two are happening at 30 time unit. Okay, in this example, here we have 2 tasks. One is T1. Okay. So in this task, with the help of for loop, actually 4 times we are going to run this. Each time we are this is a semaphore we declared as 1. Okay, with the new of 1, we are creating the semaphore with 1 key. By default it is 0. We need to pass the key here. Using get, we are getting the key in this task 1 T1. Okay, then after 5 time unit, after displaying this, T1 has semaphore, we are put back. Okay, put using put method, we put the key to the semaphore again. Then task 2, same way, it is also going to happen for 4 times. Each time we are getting the key, and after 5 time units, we are putting back. After displaying this, we are put back the key to S1. So within this initial block, we are calling T1 and T2 within 4 join n. So fork join n will just initiate this and it comes out. Okay. So these two tasks happen at the same time. So here we have only one key, right? So any one of the tasks will initiate. For example, T1 initiate two tasks we put inside fork join. T1 initiate the receive initiate this and it receives that one key. Okay. Then after displaying the T1 has semaphore. Okay, after 5 minutes it is displaying this one. T1 has the semaphore here. Then it put the key to the semaphore. So it is task 2 is waiting, right? So for to getting the resource or semaphore. So then it starts, it receives that key and it is displaying T2 has semaphore here. After 5, it is actually here it is 10. This one 5. After 5, it is happening. So after at 10, T2 has semaphore. Then it is put back the key. Then at the time, it is waiting to get that. So it will get again. So T1 happens at 15. Then T2 happens at 20. Then if it is put the key, it receives and it is displaying this one. After it puts the key to semaphore, T2 gets and it is displaying here. Then next is mailbox. A mailbox is a communication mechanism that allows message to exchange between the process or two components. Based on the size of the mailbox, we can categorize it into bounded mailbox and unbounded mailbox. That means here we are defining while there is a method new to create the mailbox. Okay, while we create new, if we mention the size, that is called defined mailbox. We didn't mention anything, it is called unbounded mailbox. Then types of mailbox based on the parameterization. So if mailbox want to support a particular type, okay, we can parameterize like this as type. Then mailbox name. If you want to create a generic mailbox, no need to use parameterization here. Mailbox, then mailbox name. These are the methods associated with the mailbox. So new, the first method. Here. If you mention the size, it's called bounded. Else it is unbounded. This is where we can create mailbox. It's a parameterized mailbox. Channel is nothing but the mailbox handle. Then new or 5. It can hold 5 values, 5 packets, you can say. Then num is a prototype function available. We call mailbox.num. It will return the how many values it is stored, how many elements we have inside the mailbox that we can get with the help of num. And put method, it is used to put the packets or transactions into the mailbox. So that we need to pass in this bracket, put off that transaction, and it is a blocked one. When blocked in the sense when the mailbox is filled, okay. So if you are supposed to put another transaction or sequence items inside the mailbox, it will not accept that. It will block one. Then get method, it removes the message transaction from the mailbox. So it will behave as like a FIFO. Okay, put the message, first message, if you put the first thing, when you get that will that we will get as like a FIFO, first in, first out. Then this is also put and get methods are blocking in nature. That means when the mailbox is empty, you are trying to access or get the messages from the mailbox, it will block. Then peak, the difference between peak and get is when it is similar to get, but the message or transaction within the mailbox does not remove. Okay. it will keep as it is. This is also blocking in nature. Then this try put, try get, try pick. All these methods are non-blocking in nature. It will continuously try to use a try get, continuously try to access the message from the mailbox. If mailbox is empty, you will get it will return 0. A few examples. Here in this example, first we are creating a transaction, okay, packet. Inside that we have the property, address and data, 8-bit, which is declared as RAM. And in the post randomized function, we are just displaying packet generated and packet address and data in %d. So while we randomize, automatically the post randomize will be called, and after randomize the corresponding value for address data we can get. Then we have two components, one is generator, another one is driver. With the help of generator, we are instantiating this PKT here. We are going to generate the transaction and say sequence, so that we are going to put inside the mailbox, and that we are going to get at the driver. So that is this example shows. So this packet is instantiated here as a PKT, and we create a new for that. Then mailbox I instantiated here as mbox. Then within the function new, I am getting the actual mailbox random, and I assign to the mailbox which I declared here. Okay, from where we are getting this one is from the top. So this is the test bench top module. So here within that I instantiated generator and driver and mailbox. This generator I instantiated and this driver I instantiated, and the mailbox I instantiated here. So within the initial beginning, I create a mailbox. Okay, using new op, I allocate some memory for the mailbox. For example, 100 is the location, memory location is assigned for mailbox. That 100 I am passing when this is the new op we are creating for the generator and driver. While I create new op, I am passing the handle of the actual mailbox, this mailbox handle. Unless if I instantiate here inside the generator, and if I create new for this mailbox is a different one, and this mailbox which I created is different one. So if I put in one mailbox, if I get in some other mailbox, I won't get, right? So here I instantiate the mailbox. This handle I am passing so that I can able to access from the same mailbox. So this I receiving here, and I call this when I use function new op, automatically when I did this, it will get the handle of the actual mailbox, and that is assigned to this dot mbox. It's nothing but this one. Okay. Then in the run task, 2 times I am going to do this pkt dot randomize. So this address and data will get randomized. So those value we can get here, and then after that using put method and put this pkt into the mailbox. Then displaying packet put into mailbox. Then after 5 again next time one more time I am randomizing this pkt and I am putting the two mailbox and I am printing this one. In generator, sorry, in driver, same way I instantiate this pkt and mbox. In function new, I receive the actual mailbox handle from the testbench.sp, and that is assigned to this mbox. And this run task 2 times. Here I am getting the pkt from the mailbox. In generator, I put here. So here I am getting. So the getting and receiving from the mailbox. Then I print the address and data which is present inside the PKT. So PKT dot address and PKT dot data. Now these run functions I'm calling here inside the testbench.sp within fortran. I call these two process or two components run functions, generator and driver. At the same time, both run function will be called. So generator randomize the PKT and it put to the mailbox. At the same time, it's blocking one, right? So get will wait for any transaction to be put inside the mailbox. Once we put inside the mailbox, here it will get and it will display this one. Okay, this is the first time packet generated, the address and the corresponding data. This we are getting from packet. So here packet put into mailbox. The packet received, then generator we are getting this put into mailbox, and driver receives that packet received, same value we are getting here. The second time also we are generating and putting, and when we are getting. Okay, another example to explain the other methods. So here within this module there are two tasks. Task 1 is as like a generator. Okay, I am going to put some value into the mailbox. Here I create a mailbox M. It is going to support a type of integer. So it is parameters mailbox hash int M new of. It is an unbounded mailbox. So M is a mailbox handle. In this task 1, 4 times. Okay, I am going to do this. Each time I am put initially we are putting 0 to the mailbox, and I am going to display this one. And task 2 while of 1. That means it is a infinity loop. So inside that I am getting M is nothing but the mailbox handle M dot get temp. Temp is the variable I declared here. So using that I am receiving the message or integer what I put inside the mailbox that I getting here. Then I am displaying that one. Within the initial block, within for join man, I call both the tasks T1 and T2. So this task one, it will put the integer I values inside the mailbox using put method, and task 2, we are getting the message or integer from the mailbox here, and we are displaying that one. Here I use get, right? If I run this, 0, both are running at the same time. 0 time T1 sends 0, T2 receives 0. As soon as when we put into the mailbox, both are running at the same time, so it will get and it is printing. So T1 we are putting 1, and the next iteration I value is 1 we are putting, and that one we are getting, and 2 next iteration we are putting, and that we are getting, and 3 we are putting into the mailbox and we are getting. Now if I use a peak, okay, the difference between peak and get is, when we use peak, the value will be retained as it is. It will read out the value, but the value will be there. So if I use this peak to take the message from the mailbox, take the integer value from the mailbox, click here, and I am displaying that one, and I use get. So here it will take the value, but the value will remain into the mailbox. Using get, it will take out the values. go to this place, you will get for task 2. So this is one, you have picked the values. So here, say value will be present and using get, we are removing that value. This is from pick, this is from get. Then we are going to see about events. So events are static object useful for synchronization between the process. So this is the keyword event. You can declare any name, give any name for the event. The event operates are of two-stage process in which one process will trigger the event. Using this arrow mark, we can trigger the event. This is the event. And the other process will wait for an event to trigger. So these two we can use. There is a difference between wait event name dot trigger and at event name dot trigger. The difference is wait means it is a level sensitive. Okay, at means it is a edge sensitive one. The difference is if the event trigger, this event trigger, and wait for the event trigger using at operator happens at the same time. This one and this one happens at the same time. Okay, there is a chance to miss detection of the event trigger. Okay. When we use this wait event name dot trigger instead of this, we use this. Okay. So you will surely get this event trigger. Okay, I will explain with the example so that you can understand clearly. In this example, event EV1. Okay, we created this is the event name EV1. So within this initial block, there are two processes. This one process, this is another process. In process 1, I am triggering the event. After 45 minutes, after displaying this triggering the event, I am triggering EV1. In process 2, I am displaying this one, wait for the event to trigger. Then I am using at of event dot trigger. That is, I am waiting for event to be triggered. After that, I am displaying event trigger. Then this in this initial beginning, I am displaying end of the simulation and I am applying $finish. Now I am running this. So here this at event dot triggered. Okay, this should compile execute before this event happen. Okay. This wait for the event to trigger should be execute. This line should be execute before this happen. Then only it can able to recognize when event get triggered. Okay. So here it is triggering after 40. But before that, this line will happen and it is waiting for the event to trigger. When it is happening, it will enter into this following lines. So here, so both process start at the same time. Okay. So here we are giving some delay. So here it is displaying wait for the event to trigger. Then after 40, after this line is waiting, okay, for event to be triggered. Then after 40, this is happening, triggering the event. So once it is triggered, it will enter into this type. And then we are getting event trigger. Then after that, finally, end of the simulation, we are getting. So suppose, see here, if I introduce a delay, when I introduce delay, this one happens first, and then it is waiting for the event. Okay. So you won't enter into the below lines because it is waiting for the event to trigger, but the event trigger happened before reaching this line. Okay. So if you see the log, waiting for the event trigger is happening. Okay. Then after 40, triggering the event happen. Then after 60 only, this line is going to execute. So it is waiting for the event to trigger, but it happened early itself. Okay. So it will not enter into this line. Event trigger, we won't get. We are getting after 100, we are getting the end of the simulation. So this one should happen before they wait for event to happen. In case now at the same time at 40 this triggering event is happening, at 40 this wait for event to trigger is happening. Okay. Both are happening at the same time means at that time also we won't get this wait for trigger will not recognize the event triggered. See here, wait for event to trigger, triggering the event, and in the simulation happening. This is not coming, right? So when both this wait for event and the event trigger happen at the same time also, we won't get, it will not enter into the below lines. To avoid that, we are using this wait. At this level sensitive, so it will happen suddenly level. Okay. But it is a sorry, at is the edge sensitive, it is happen in a certain time. Wait we use it is a level sensitive. Okay, so that it will recognize if both are happen at the same time also. This one will recognize the trigger and it will enter into the below lines. So that is the difference between at event.trigger and wait event.trigger. Now both are happening at the 40 time unit. See here, wait for the event is happening. Okay. Then triggering event happen. The event trigger it is entered, right? Event trigger and end of the simulation happens after 100. Okay. Okay, next, wait order. Okay, this wait order construct is to block the process until all these specified events are triggered in the given order from left to right. For this example, wait order. These are the events A, B, C are the events you need to trigger. If I mention like this, first A should be triggered, then B should be triggered, then C should be triggered. Then it will enter to the below lines. If it is not happen, the else part if you mention for this, it will go to the else part. Here, this example, we created 3 events EV1, EV2, EV3. So there are 4 processes. One process we are triggering the event EV1 at as6, and in process 2 we are triggering the event 2 at 2 as 2, and process 3 as 8 we are triggering the event 3. So within this process we are waiting for the event order. Wait order, we need to mention the order we are expecting. Here we are expecting E2, event 2 should happen first, then event 1 should be triggered, then event 3. So here, based on this delay mentioned, this one happens first, this is second, and this is third. When I run this, it will happen in this order. I will get event trigger in order. Okay, wait for the event to trigger, then event 2 is happening, 1 happened, and 3 happened. Event triggered in order, we are receiving. In case if I introduce some delay here, so this event 2 will happen at hash 9, the time delay. So this order will not happen. So automatically it will choose the else part. Event 2 is not triggered first. So this one is happening. E1 is going to trigger first. So automatically we will move to the else part and we will get event out of order. Event 1 triggered first, so it is not happen in this order. So you are getting it moves to the else part, and we are getting event triggered out of order. And remaining events are triggered. Then we're going to see about system Verilog scheduling semantics. Here, the single time slot is divided into multiple regions where event can be scheduled in that regions. So the purpose of this dividing this time slot into different order of regions is to provide predictable interaction between the design and destination. That means to avoid the race condition between the RTL and design, we are classifying the single time slot into multiple regions. So in each region, a specific task is going to happen, so that we are avoiding the race problem. Here in this diagram, you can see this divided one particular time slot is divided into these regions. First one is prepone and preactive, active, inactive, then pre, non-blocking, assignment region, then observe, pre-observe, reactive, pre-inactive, and postpone. So in this region, in prepone region, you see concurrent assertion. There are two types. Okay, in that we have concurrent assertion, immediate assertion. So the concurrent assertions are sampled. Okay. In prepone region, the values are sampled, and then here in observed region, the sample values are we are evaluation the concurrent assertion. In observed region, the evaluation of concurrent assertion will happen, and then pass fail will be execute of the concurrent happen in the reactive region. Then in preactive region, the PLI callbacks control pre-callbacks will happen in preactive region, and then here pre-non-blocking assignment. Here PLI callbacks, post callbacks will be called here at this region. In active region, all the blocking statements will happen in the active region, and non-blocking statements evaluation happens here. Okay, the evaluation of right hand side will happens in the active region, but the assignment or updation to the left hand side will happens in the non-blocking assignment region here. Then assign, continuous assignment, primitives, $display, $finish, everything is happening in the active region. Okay, when the statements blocking region we are mentioning as zero. Okay. So that will happen in the inactive region. Then observed region we discussed. Then reactive region. So program block, actual test benches will be implemented using program block. Okay. That will happens in the reactive region. Then inside the program block, if you use this as zero for any blocking statement, that will happens in the inactive region. Then postpone region happens finally, that the $stroke $monitor will be executed, so that we can avoid the race conditions. Okay, next we will see about program block, that we will see later.